ultimately it's all about knowing how to manage your business because you can as long as you have great management, you can make success over an okay idea, you know, for and versus if you have terrible management, even the best idea is going to fail.
What's up, listeners? Welcome to another episode of Light Beyond Limits, where we talk about the breakthroughs and the stories that people have had with their limitations and the lessons that they learned from it. I'm your host, Coach Willie Blake, and today I am joined by a good friend of mine who I met him, I believe, through a group on school, Marianne's group, and we were able to connect. Wonderful individual. His name is Jason Rogers. And Jason Rogers is a former film producer turned marketing systems expert. After years in fast-paced world of film where he led teams and brought stories to life, Jason launched Gateway Gears to help small businesses build simple, scalable marketing systems. Now he coaches entrepreneurs and thought leaders on how to create systems that grow with them, freeing up their time and helping them scale with confidence. Jason, so glad to have you on here.
Thank you. It's so good to be here.
Oh, we're
And that's a
excited to
great
be
introduction, by the way. I loved that.
that. It's all you. That's how great you are. Truly how great you are. Very excited to start today. First and foremost, I know that this is about, we talk a lot about limitations. We talk about challenges that we face. We also really like to focus on like the great side of like how people overcame those challenges and limitations, the process and the journey that went through it so that others can not only just know that other people do it, but have a glimmer of hope within themselves that they can also overcome it. So I would love to hear from you, Jason. What's your story?
Yeah, man. Well, I was born in California and I have lived all over the US. So like Virginia, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, um, and a lot of other places. I was homeschooled for most of my life, um, all because my mom, she was picking up my older brother from kindergarten or um or preschool, I think it was. And the teacher was like, "Your son is behind and we need to hold him back for a year." And my mom was like, "This is preschool. Like there's what are you talking about?" My mom, she had a lot of trauma in school in the past. She's she had been like immensely bullied and teachers didn't, I mean, I won't go into the details, but long story short, she was like, I could do better than this. So she decided to homeschool my older brother, and because of that, I was also homeschooled um, at the beginning, which was amazing. Like I I I loved the experience of homeschool, and throughout my whole like growing up, um, I um, I experienced all different types of schooling, different types of schooling, things like that. Um, and I didn't have a problem with like education or anything until I hit like eighth grade. There was like clues here and there of like how distracted I was growing up, where my mom was always going, "Okay, Jason, pay attention. This is the next thing. You still haven't written down the answer of the last one," type of thing. Or it would take me all day to try to just read through something that I was supposed to read through or something. Long story short, um, in eighth grade, I went to college. I'm not. I went to school, and eighth grade was so much more harder than any of the other ones, to the point where the teachers encouraged my mom to have me tested, right? And come to find out, I had ADHD, um, and that they wanted to put me on um, uh, like focus medication. I think at that time it was Ritalin. Um, and I like long story short, it wasn't the best experience for me, right? Um, it helped me focus really well at first, but then it completely destroyed my emotions. Like I felt nothing. after a while. Eat like, especially, so I was on the medication and I was wired and I was like, oh wow, this is amazing. I could focus and stuff like that. But as soon as I would like the medication would wane off, I just wouldn't, I didn't feel anything. Like no happy, no sad, nothing. I didn't feel any desire to do anything really. I my I I was also like crazy scattered where I couldn't focus on anything really either. Um, um, and I started getting depressed, like massively depressed. And that was the one emotion that did kind of stick out out of all of that. Um, and the I I was done at that point where it's like, this I don't like how this is making me feel. So I'm not taking it anymore. So I refused to take it, which was in the long run, a mistake. You're supposed to wean yourself off of a thing, off of that type of medication. But I was in like this chemical depression for like 4 years at that point. Um, and
4
uh,
years from after you from stop taking it, 4 years after
yeah,
that. Oh wow,
yeah.
okay.
So uh, that time in my life was kind of a blur, except for the fact that so I was like 14 and I wanted to be happy again. Like nothing, all the things that brought me joy before no longer brought me joy. I loved to go out, play in the woods, build forts, dig in the dirt. We had go-karts, we had like all these fun outside doorsy things. But going out and doing them, I was like, that experience in school, I have this inner critic in my mind going, why are you doing this? This has no purpose in life. It's not going to help you succeed. Like, you need to find interests that are going to make you successful. And whatever that is, like to a 14-year-old boy, who knows what success is, you know? Um, and so all those things, and not to mention we then moved. We moved to a neighborhood, so there was no longer like a forest in my backyard to explore. There was no longer an area where I could confidently just, I don't know, I don't, I it just, so I was depressed and it became a goal of mine at that point where it's like, I'm going to find my way out of this. I'm going to find my joys. And there was um, I heard somewhere someone who said, in fact, so I'm a bit religious, I guess you could say. I'm a part of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and we have these things called general conferences where we have what you call like 12 apostles, and they speak every 6 months to everyone in the entire church, right? Um, and during one of those times, one of the apostles, um, they said, if you can track it, if you can measure it and track it, you can change it, right? And I was like, okay, so I'm feeling depressed. How do I track that? Say, so and the answer that came to my mind was my thoughts control my emotions. So if I can track my thoughts, I could potentially control my emotions and pull myself out of this somehow. So I started keeping a journal that I called my book of thoughts. It's a habit that I still have today. This is today's book. Um, and the so I just write down my thoughts all the time. um, and try to keep track of which ones brought me joy, which ones made me depressed, which one like what close to joy, and like it was like interests. Yeah, so I started keeping a track of my thoughts, and amongst those things, I also got from somewhere else. Someone said to find joy in life, you need to set goals. So I started setting goals. And that was a two-edged sword for me because one, when I accomplished a goal, I felt okay. But if I failed at accomplishing a goal, I felt so much shame and disgust with myself. Yeah. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I was like, I know this is valuable to keep track of what I want in my life because it is like keeping track of my thoughts is a goal after all, right? So it was this delicate balance of trying to find that happy medium of control, like being okay with failure and and still going after my dreams, of what I want to accomplish with my life. Um, Exercise was another thing as well, where so altogether um, it was reading good books. So I started reading really help, like self-help books at that point. I was like 14, right? 14, 15. Um, Keeping track of my thoughts. So notebook, journaling, which are kind of like two in the same, but they're different. Like journaling about my day, keeping track of my goals, setting goals and keeping track of them, and exercising. Those were the five things that I started doing at age 14. And I still do those today. Uh, and within 4 years, so I stayed consistent at it mostly just because it was giving me something to do, you know? And even though at the beginning it didn't feel like it was going anywhere, I wasn't making any progress, um, I was still depressed. Um, it gave me hope. It gave me something to do. It's like do you ever hear there's a song out there where it's like if you're in hell, the worst thing to do is stop walking, and just mope around and it's like, well, I'm here now. I might as well just live with it. Um, so, and I didn't want to do that. The best thing to do was just to keep walking. So, and this was the answers that were in front of me, and I didn't have any other better answers. So that's what I kept doing. And within 4 years, I remember a moment in a car driving home from some activity with my family. And for the first time in like 4 years, I actually felt joy and gratitude and and peace. I felt like I was on cloud nine, like when you were a little kid and you just finished accomplishing something great, or you just got done playing at the park or you are playing at the park and it's just like you're present, you're joyful, you're grateful for everything in your life. That was that moment, right? Um, and there were little moments before that. Uh, my life was like this roller coaster of emotions, where I'd feel happy and then all of a sudden depressed. I hate my life. I feel a little happy and then and like depressed. I hate my life. But this one felt very different. It felt like I finally made it to where I wanted to be. And I knew that it wasn't going to be forever, based off of my past experiences, that this is a moment to be grateful for, and that this moment will pass, and at one point I will hit rock bottom again, right? But um, um, but I'm here now, and I'm grateful for this moment now. Um, and also it helped me realize there's so many other things like I could go off, um, that our minds, we work with chemicals, right? And yes, I managed to pull myself out of this chemical depression. Mostly it was just I really had nothing to do with that. Mostly it was just my body, like being patient with my body to alchemate and make the adjustments it needed. Um, and then in that process of keeping my mind in check while while it got back to where it needed to be, right? Um, but also happiness is a chemical. And when we're really great and really amazing and feeling at the top of our life, uh, we need to know and be aware that when we feel that way, that there's going to be a crash right after, very shortly after, like within a few hours, and we need to be patient and loving with ourselves during that time because it's
Interesting.
all chemical based. Like, um, and you have and because you used up all those wonderful happy chemicals, and your body now needs to recharge them. So so you just need to be patient and loving with those. And what's nice is when you have that perspective, you can glide down, and you don't actually have to reach rock bottom because you can have all of these habits and beliefs and mental models that help you kind of coast and then stay at a I'm okay. I'm good. Life is at peace. I'm fine. And then
Yeah.
so yeah, anyway.
So to keep that going from just being okay instead of going down to the deep, is that with like the journaling, the
Mhm.
writing things down, the exercise? Is that how you keep that from going to
Yes.
rock bottom and just float?
Yes. So there's five things that we all want to keep track of in life. Um so number one is we want to keep track of our beliefs. Because really our beliefs affect the the thoughts we have, right? And the thoughts we have control the emotions we feel. And the emotions we feel control the words we say. And the words we say control what actions we do. So the words we say to ourselves, the words we say to others. And the actions that we do control our habits. Consistent actions create the habits we fall into, right? And then those habits, they create our character of who we are as a person. And then from there, our character defines our destiny, where we're going to end up with our life. So, so you want to keep track of all of those different things, but most importantly, the beliefs you have with yourself, the beliefs you have with the universe, the beliefs you have with the relationships in your life, and and I'm talking more about than just relationships with your spouse or your friends and family. I'm talking about the relationship you have with money. I'm talking about the relationship you have with God, the universe as a whole. Like you want to track those beliefs. And anytime you're feeling negative or down, you want to figure out, okay, why am I feeling this way? Like, what got me here? What I'm feeling this emotion, which means I had some thoughts. What were those thoughts I was having? And what beliefs led me to those thoughts? And then how do I reprogram that so I can better control this descent and have a baseline that is where I'm happy, so I don't hit this rock bottom all the time.
It's an interesting concept to think about. Like our destiny is literally controlled by the thoughts that we have.
Yeah,
It's crazy to think about because we think about a lot and mix that with our beliefs. Like that is literally everything that we do before we take action on stuff. Like we don't make a decision to do something without thinking about it pretense. And it's oh, what's that saying? It's the thoughts, beliefs. I forgot what it was, but I'm sure I'll remember it later. But it's just crazy how important it is that, oh, there we go. It's a thought is a dime a dozen, which means that each of our thought is worth less than a penny.
yeah,
And the only way to increase its value is to start putting it into a plan, putting it into action, and have it become reality.
well,
So
I
there's like a
love
there's
that.
like a
Yes,
double thing to it, of which like our thoughts can control our destiny, so watch your thoughts. But then there's also the thing of like we have so many thoughts, it's the ones that consistently come up and then that we act on that are the ones that will eventually be either detrimental to us or influence us in a better way.
that's right, that's right. Yeah,
So such an interesting concept. I want to hear. I know you've shown me your journal before. It is one of the most articulated, organized things I have ever seen in my entire life. When you showed me it the first time with all your different like symbols and how you I fell in love with it. I'm just like, I wish Jason would just like put that out to the universe because this is like one of the coolest things in the world. Is it? Can you like show us and tell us about like how you organize?
absolutely. Yeah. All right. So this is for those. Don't feel overwhelmed by this. This is 14 years in the make. Well, more than 14. Like I started this at 14 and I'm in my 30s now. So some more than that. Uh, so it might feel overwhelming for those who would like to start something like this. Um, and before I show it, it all starts with making keeping track of what you want in life, really. Um, and we'll go from there. So you can start small. This is many years of me keeping track of what I want in life, okay? So this first page is I have a symbol attached to everything that I want to accomplish with my life. And these are the main ones that are always on the top of my mind. This right here kind of references to them on the side here, and there's a lot of other ones that are not actually on this list that are not top of mind right now. So every 6 months or so, I fill one of these up, and then I reassess what's been important, and I leave open spaces down here for ones that start coming back up again. Okay,
That's
so
cool. I didn't know that you'd redo it every 6 months. That's cool.
yeah, so it's every 6 months to 7 months. It just depends on when I fill a book.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So, for example, of what all of these things are, um, there's I track my thoughts to improve my being. It's the first symbol. This is my thought symbol. So anytime I have a thought that isn't related to anything else, it's just the thought. That's the symbol that goes with it. The next one underneath that is I take note of ideas we can take action on. So so the difference between a thought and an idea took me probably a year to kind of come to this is an idea is something you can actually act on versus a thought is just a thought like uh, every day in every way I get better and better. That's a thought. That's also a belief, but it's not an action. There's not a distinct action on that one versus I want to build a video game that's a thought with action, you know.
Yeah.
It's technically that's a vision, but we won't go into that. Uh,
Right. Right. Yeah.
so that kind of gives you an idea of what these are. Um, I'll read off just a couple of other ones. I am spiritually mindful. I run a successful business. Story ideas. I tell great stories. YouTube videos ideas. So I want to create YouTube videos. So that's one. Or I know and love film gear. And that's a symbol here where I keep track of film gear that I find out about or I'm making notes of so I can remember them. Yeah. Or I am an author. So that's anytime I have a book idea, it goes underneath that symbol. Yeah, so that's some
That,
of those.
that's
Oh,
cool. Go ahead.
and then from there, um, so these tabs. So I have this note card that goes along with it, right? And I use the note card to see if you can see this to make a tabs on the side.
Oh yeah.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
That way I can quickly go to any particular thought. So the thought that I go to a lot or is I am organized and goal oriented. So so I have a page in here where I basically keep track of my to-do list, right? So, and I'll go, there's a huge process behind to-do lists. Um, but yeah, so anytime my to-do list fills up, I just go to the next open page, put the symbol up on top, the date. In fact, that's always the first thing I do when I have a new thought is the symbol and the date, and then I just go. Um, and uh, and that's so I can, and then once a week, I will pull out my note card and tally the corners or tally the edge. That way, when I'm like, oh yeah, I had that thought about making a video game, I can quickly flip to all my video game thoughts or thought for my business or when I have a meeting with a client, I have a symbol for those, and I can just quickly find it. And that's how I organize my journal. Or yeah.
So cool. The thing I noticed, and I want to ask you about it. I noticed that in the description part, kind of like the table of contents of it, they seem like mantras, like affirmations, and not affirmations in like the motivational way of just like, we're going to do this, we're awesome and everything, but in the way of like desires. They're like desire
Yes.
statements, like Napoleon Hill says, or the I am statements, where it's just like, this is what I want in the future, but I'm going to say in the I am statement now because it's going to happen in my life.
Yes.
Is,
That's
is
right.
that is that is that on purpose?
It is on purpose, absolutely, because it's bringing my thoughts all the way down to my being, you know. So all of these are this is what I want to be in life, you know. And so it's my way of bringing those all back together, is stating it like that. And I think there's also a couple different books out there. I know in Think and Grow Rich, it talks about when you're talking about the future, you want to talk about it present tense, like it is now. And so that's why I wrote it that way.
Oh, I love that. That
Yeah.
is so cool. Thank you for like on the spot sharing that with us. I know that we didn't talk about it beforehand, but that was one of the coolest things that I've ever seen. Just so organized. It's
You're
like
welcome.
the jealousy monster inside of me is just like, oh, that's so cool. I want that to happen in my life right now. But it's the jealousy of the result, not the journey that it took to get there. Because you said
Yeah.
you've done it for over
So many
14
years.
years. Yeah,
Yeah, for over 14 years. Yeah.
that's yeah, man, that's just crazy. Sidestep to another topic of with you've dealt with depression and you've worked to it. You shared some great things of how to coast and not go down to the level. You're a business owner.
Hmm.
You've been in the film industry, but then you're also working on marketing and Gateway Gears.
Yeah.
Tell us more, like, how did you get that started? What is it? And kind of like, how's it been?
Oh yeah. Um, so I still actually am in the business industry, film industry. Uh, I am a producer for a company called Combi Productions, and I help them find funding as well as people, basically what producers do. Um, and but it all started way back in college. I met my great friend Weston Childers, who is the owner and founder of Combi Productions. And at the time, he was just starting, and he was making a short film, uh, and he had just finished filming it, and he was editing it on his computer. And in high school, that's I loved filming, and my friends and I in high school would borrow my dad's VHS camera and go out and film. And it was like this big old thing that would fit on your shoulder, and we didn't know how to edit. So when we made our movies, it was always getting everything prepped and ready, and then it was ready, get set, action. And so as soon as they say action, you press the record button because anyway, and that's how we made our movies back then. But so here's my friend Wesson who's editing on the computer, and I was like, oh man, you got to show me how to do that because I always wanted to know. And he showed me, and then it took like an hour or so. And I was like, great, can I edit now? And he's like, sure. So I started editing that, and next thing you know, I was an editor for the next projects. So um, the 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 school we were going together, Ensign College, saw the short film and wanted us to create a commercial for them. And then from there, that commercial, a couple of business people saw it and were like, "Who did your commercial?" And then, long story short, we started making commercials for people on as well as creating these short films on the side. Uh, and throughout, I think it was like 10 years, uh, I started in editing. I went into camera and lighting. So I manned the camera and I did lighting, and then I did the audio, and then I went back into editing and did color correction for a while. I started to direct, so I was directing commercials, and then I started to produce. Um, uh, I I love the producing side. Directing was fun, but producing is definitely where my strengths shine best. Um, and anyway, so they shifted about 5 years ago. where they no longer wanted to do commercials. But I loved the commercial. I loved the storytelling of selling a product, and excuse me. And I was also really good at the Google AdWords side, and that was also something else. Um, and so they wanted to make just full-length films, comedy productions. So they stopped, they said no to all of the commercials that were coming in and just wanted to do full-length films. So I started Gateway Gears um, on the side so I could take on some of those clients um, and do commercials for them in a smaller scale, as well as the different marketing stuff. So, um, five 5 years to this day, five, 3 or 4. That's probably 4 years at this point, actually. Um, I've shifted. So, in that time, I'm a very curious person. I love learning, and so there's I've learned basic everything that I know of right now in marketing. Uh, and there's still a bunch of things I don't know, but there's a lot I know when it comes to marketing. So I've shifted from actually building camp. So f from making videos, I went into creating campaigns and managing marketing as an agency. So my team, I had like 10 people on my team at one point as an agency, and we would have our clients would come to us and we would build out their marketing systems and then manage their marketing for them. And it was exhausting, and I didn't really like that part. So um, readjusting, we basically have pivoted in the last what almost year, I guess. It's actually only about 7 months or so, where we no longer do the agency side, it's just consulting. So I'll come into a company and help them strategize and create their marketing plan, and then help them find the people they need for their teams. And that's what I do on the marketing side. That was a very long answer. Sorry.
I love it. Thank you for sharing with it. I didn't know you were still in the producing side, so I'm glad that we're able to clear that up.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see because I know you and I are both dyslexic, and so being able to see other entrepreneurs who have dyslexia is just kind of like that thing. Like you hear from someone else, you're like, oh, you're dyslexic, same as I. And it's like this instant connection back and forth. So it's really cool to know that there's so many entrepreneurs out there that are also doing such great things with it, um, and just creating really amazing businesses. I'd love to ask, with everything that you've had experience wise in the business world, if you could pick three pieces of advice for someone who is just starting out in their business, what would those be?
Man. Um, Number one, if you're just getting started, meaning you haven't really done anything yet, define your audience first and test your audience before you do anything else. Like don't register your business, don't create a business card or logo or anything like that. First, see if you can reach your audience that you're trying to create your product for, and see if they'll pay for it. And that's the number one first thing. You want to make sure that your idea is actually going to be something that sells. Okay. Number two, after you've validated that and you're like, yes, I can find the clients and yes, they do want to pay me for this, then the next thing you want to do is um, you want to have a solid business system. Like, uh, I really would encourage you to learn how to manage a database, because when it comes to business, everything is on a database. And um, and when you know how to run a database, so you can get into the weeds like I do, where Um, I have actually looked into what a database is, how to start up a database, and it is a rabbit hole definitely worth going into. But if you're wanting to just get your business started, I recommend looking up something like Airtable or API Table, um, where it's going to help you put together a really basic, simple database, but still really powerful. One that doesn't require a lot of coding, where you can then keep track of your clients, keep track of your transactions, keeping track of your marketing campaigns, and all these other things. Because of all of that, you're basically just keeping a list, like your contact, all your potential clients as well as your clients. That's a contact list that you need to keep track of all of those different relationships. And normally those are kept in what they call a CRM or a client management system, right? And there's some really great client management systems out there. Uh, there's Go High Level, there's Salesforce, there's things like that. They're focused on just the client management side of things, right? Then there's QuickBooks, and I'm diving into the weeds here.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the
So many,
answers.
so many out there.
So, um, okay, so step one, make sure you can reach your audience before you even try to start a business. And then after that, then you can go into the process of registering it, getting your URL and all of that. Um, but the but more importantly, it's all about knowing how to manage your business, because you can as long as you have great management, you can make success over an okay idea, you know? For and versus if you have terrible management, even the best idea is going to fail. So you want to make sure that your management, how you're managing your business and keeping track of all that information is solid. And that's my advice.
Man, thank you. Thank you for that. Great value for those amazing people who are listening, who are wanting to start their business or start their endeavor, whatever that is. Follow Jason's things. Make sure that you know your target audience. If people don't want it, there's no reason to make it. You're just wasting your time at that point.
Hmm.
And then figure out the database, the systems that go into it, so that you're not just jumping in being like, I'm so excited, big idea, and then you fall into, I think it's Alex Ramosi who says, the valley of despair, to where you just
Yeah.
like, you start realizing all the negatives that also go with it, and then people mostly jump to the next motivational thing. But if you know the database and know your audience wants it, then you can push past it. And then share with me again what number 3 was.
I'm gonna change number three because as you're talking about that, I was like, actually, let's switch it. So number one
Okay.
is know your audience. Number three is define your database. Number two is get a business coach. Like
Ah,
that would be my advice, actually, because if you're just getting started, you don't know exactly what you're doing, you need someone who has gone down that path before, who can coach you through it and help you know exactly what the next steps are. Because there are so many steps when it comes to creating a database that we don't have enough time to go into in this episode. I mean, like there is, like I said, registering a business. There is getting your URL. There's so many other intricate details inside of that that you probably should be aware of. And having a business coach would help you know those things. Someone who knows the pitfalls and making sure that you're aware of those things.
yeah. How would you go about finding one? Because there are so many gurus and influencers out there who might say that they're coaches, but they're not. How can you differentiate those people from business coaches who are actually going to help you create a business?
That is a great question. Wonderful question. And I don't have an answer for it, actually. Um,
Thanks for the honesty.
yeah, because that's a wonderful. I don't have a business coach. Well, actually, I take that back. My friend Weston, the owner of Conv, is my business coach in a sense because uh, I've been and have followed his story, his process of starting Conv. and I've just basically followed in his footsteps, but in marketing, where it's like, well, he did it this way, so I'll do it that way as well. And so in a sense, he was my business coach. And anytime I have questions about business or anything like that, I end up always going to him and asking him. He's probably the first person I always go to when it comes to business questions. Um, and so I guess my answer to that question would be, um, find a friend who you trust that has built a business that you find successful, and ask them. Ask them to be your coach. Ask them if they can guide you through the different steps. That would be my advice right now. I don't have a clear answer. Like in the future, that answer will change. Um,
Yeah.
but right now, that's the best one I have for you.
Thank you for sharing it. Because yeah, we there are the ideas of like make sure that they are um have done what you're wanting them to do, that they're not just there being like, oh, I've read so many books about it, right? There's the idea
Yeah.
of that. There's the idea of um make sure that they've worked with other people, or at least are a little bit of experience on the coaching side, because there's like building the business side, and then there's the actual coaching someone else and teaching someone else, which is two different things. You can talk
Yeah.
about those ideas, and yours is great as well. Find individuals who are on the path that you are, who
Hmm.
have created something, and then not, I wouldn't use these words with them, but like pick their brains, start learning from them. And if they're doing stuff, ask them to be a coach, give them
Yeah.
either monetary value or help them out with their business to kind of trade value so that you can build it together. I know one of my good friends and I, John, we both
Yeah.
started
Love
that
John.
way. He's a good mentor of mine, and that's how it started. And it grew from the mentorship of me helping him with his sales, with his social media, to now a good friendship and partnership with the things that we do. So it's just
Yeah.
like you just build it. So I love that advice.
Awesome.
With as we come to the close of this, Jason, I want to know how can people who are listening to this, listening to you, how can they reach out to you if they have
Yeah.
those questions or that?
They can always go to contact@gatewaygears.com. Um, or you can go to my website, gatewaygears.com, and schedule a time to visit with me. You could also go to, there's so many different ways. You find me
Yeah.
on Instagram at jasondreambig.com, or one, not, you can go to jasondreambig.com actually, but Jason Dream Big on Instagram, Facebook, um, X, um, as well as if you search Gateway Gears. There, there's so many different ways. If you go to jasontrogers.com, you can also schedule like a consultation with me. So those are all the different ways.
Okay. And all those different ways will be in the description for each of those who want to reach out to Jason as well as follow him on social media.
Yeah.
So, Jason, I teased about this in the green room beforehand, but what I love to do at the end of my episodes is something I got from Stephen Bartlett, who's the host of Diary of the CEO podcast
Cool.
and YouTube channel. I saw his episode with, I don't know the actor's name, but Dwight Schrute from The Office. Saw his episode and saw him do this, which he called the final question. So what it is that an interviewee before you left a question for you to answer.
Okay.
You won't know who they are, they won't know who you are, but they left a question for you to answer, and then you'll also be able to leave one for them.
Okay.
So I have the final question for you. Let me pull it up quick, and here we go. Okay. If you could write a message on a billboard, what would it say?
Billboard message. A great question. You might have to cut out my thought, or like as I'm thinking through this. Billboard. So, this is me just thinking through it. I imagine this billboard's going to be somewhere on a highway which means that these are people who are coming or going to work or errands to run. They and it's a location, so we can't get into the exact like who these people are. It's hopefully it's throughout the entire day, which means that you're getting all kinds of different types of people. Um, the average pain points that most people are having right now are financing, um, and and what they're going to do with their lives. Um, what's going to like for me, it's always about what is going to be the most value to the person who's going to see, you know. It's like there's so many different messages that I want to share with the world, and it's all about knowing when to share it. And a billboard, most people are stressed while driving. Most people are potentially late, which means that whatever you're going to say on a billboard is not going to be absorbed very quickly unless it resonates really fast and it hits them. Um, and it's a billboard is a call to action. It's where you um, most people when they advertise on a billboard marketing, they kind of do it wrong. There's a little bit of a call to action on there, but for the most part, it's like this is what we do and call us or to find out more, maybe, but then there's like a phone number or like there's not enough time to pull out your phone and capture it if you're driving. It's the billboards are kind of really for the passengers because they have enough time to think about it and pull out their phone and take pictures. The person driving can't. Um, so yeah, so that's really who the billboard is for. Um, okay. One of the things that I really want to help the world with is to dream big, to help them achieve their dreams, because that's what I love to do. I love helping people achieve their dreams. Um, I think what I would put on the billboard is now I don't have this all laid out yet. Um, but okay, perfect world. What I put on the board is you are not broken. Learn to love learning again, or something like that, with a with hashtag. Um, so so it would be you are not broken hashtag for the love of learning, and that's what I put on there. And then that hashtag would take people to a campaign that I'm running to help people learn to love learning again, and that's what I do.
I love that. What a great answer. That was way more thought out than I was going into. You went into the depths of it. You went into like because I'm thinking of it and it's just like one thing that's put up there, but you're just like, here's a billboard, here's their pain points, here's the audience that's going into it, and how can I not just impact them now, but in the future? Ah, that's so powerful. What a way to end the show. Jason is powerful, everyone. That is the message that we brought here today.
Thanks.
Listeners, thank you for joining us. Jason, thank you for joining us on this episode today and sharing your wonderful insights. Listeners, that wraps up another episode of Light Beyond Limits. If you found inspiration in this, go ahead and subscribe to our podcast. You can find us on all the major podcasting platforms. As well as you can go to our website, coachwillieblake.com, where you'll be able to find a link to our podcast, link to all the socials, and everything else going in the Achievers universe. Until next time, my friends, continue to be awesome, continue to be the best version of yourselves and that have that light within you. And always remember that it truly is through the planning and the preparation and through the organization that we have that really comes out when we need to dream big. So dream big, Be the best version you
Love
can.
that.
Believe in yourself. We'll see you on the next episode of Light Beyond Limits.